Bill Maher, the less sensible liberal, was a recent guest on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he said some based things. Listen, if you've been around the channel long enough, you're gonna know I'm not the biggest fan of Joe Rogan, but to be fair, I have to go and listen to a couple more of his recent interviews because I guess maybe he's finally coming around to a couple of things, but who knows. I liked Joe back in 2017, and then he just precipitously dipped after the dissolution of the intellectual dark web when I realized that, oh, Sam Harris is kind of a spurg, and he always has been. Oh, Ben Shapiro is just a neocon, well, in a very tiny suit, and Jordan Peterson's daughter isn't quite as witty as the old man himself, so that loose collection just kind of got spread to the different corners of the world, and they have yet to since recover. And Bill Maher specifically, I just always considered him to be boomer nip. He's always just steps and steps and steps behind the popular sentiment of just common sense individuals. But whenever he says something that, oh my God, he's based, and because he's somebody that's historically been on the left, and oh, he's not like that new wave of left-wingers, that it's like, shut your mouth, listen to what the dude has said in a more than just a simple, 6 months prior context. Like, this is the guy who famously said, we should crash the economy just to stick it to Trump. Yeah, this guy's nuts, okay? But if he's pointing out everything else that's gone crazier around him, oh my God, he's so good for the conversation. Just chill for a second, okay? Bill Maher compares woke progressives to the Klan for their fixation on race. As he says, true liberals believe in a colorblind society. Okay, people. True liberals there's no true liberals. Real liberalism hasn't been tried, guys. Oh, just shut up. It makes me sick to my stomach. But let's see what the normies are talking about. Bill Maher has slammed woke progressives again, this time arguing that that's not like colorblind liberals, but instead have a fixation on race that's comparable to that of the Klan. The controversial comedian, not really, if you listen to what he says, it's just, it's kind of weird because normally it's the conservatives that are just like, the Republicans, I should be more specific on that. The Republicans are just simply the Democrats driving in the slow lane. Bill Maher, kind of like a cultural conservative driving school zone speeds on the highway. He argued that while liberals like former Democratic President Barack Obama, who's a fucking radical, just go back and listen to what he was talking about, and I would definitely call him the epicenter of the racist area that has permeated just about all of the West right now. So to say that he would be analogous to John F. Kennedy, I'm not even the biggest Kennedy fan, that meth-headed whoremonger. It's definitely not fair, and this is why I wanted to critique this, because I know he'd have stupid takes, and then people would just go, oh my God, he's so right about this. No, he's not. So yeah, Barack Obama and John F. Kennedy's aims to not see race at all. Barack Obama's entire shtick was polarizing whites against blacks. Stop it. Today's progressives are extremists who are obsessed with identity. See, the little drop of truth amidst an entire sea of lies. Wokes believe race is first and foremost the thing you should always see everywhere, people, okay? Which I find interesting because that used to be the position of the Ku Klux Klan. I was like, no, if you also understood the history of the Klan, you'd also realize that they've been Democrats the entire time. Maher was responding to Rogan's assertion that former HBO star is a 90s liberal, which I don't even know where you get that term from anymore. Just that same passive opinion of a default Democrat that ended up, giving us the current society that we find ourselves in. Was that really such a great time? Like, I give a shit to a bunch of tradcons that are out there that just simply want a time machine in order to go back and experience the 1950s. But now you have these centrist, left-leaning centrists that are out there that think that the halcyon days of liberalism was the 1990s. You brain-dead idiots. You don't realize that political correctness started to rear its ugly head in the university campuses in the late 90s, okay? Are we that stupid? Do we remember the puritanical purges of the rock and roll demon music, even going back a little bit further to the Satanic Panic? What was the political affiliation of the PMRC, who were holding those congressional hearings with the likes of Dee Snider and then also trying to call on Blackie Lawless? Tipper Gore, famous Republican, right? 90s liberals, folks, and not a far leftist. No, he's just a clout-chasing thought trapped in a 67-year-old's body, like the current progressive wing of the Democratic Party. That's the entire Democratic Party, because all of those talking points come down from the top. They always have been, and they always will be. So again, this is just two boomers, not even close to being associated with what ground level people are talking about. I think every once in a while, if I'm getting just a little bit too hoity-toity for my position, I just need to go ahead and take a step back and hear what people talk about. That's why there's such a differentiation and such a wide scope to the content that more recently I've definitely been covering. Because I got to realize that, okay, if I just hyper-focus in on politics, something that I'm pretty good at, something that I have a fairly extensive knowledge on, but if I just only deal on this, I'm not going to be able to see the freight train that's going to be running in from the likes of Hollywood and what they're trying, okay, that'll throw that off rip. Or if I focus too much on what's going on in sports, I'm going to end up missing what's going on if I don't understand the relationship dynamics that are going on right now. Like, you won't see the train that's coming through where everybody's getting influenced by the likes of Adam 22 apt description by saying the train that's running through and just talking about his wife. You won't see how bad female decisions will just go ahead and derail somebody's career. That's why you have to be the only acceptable type of diverse that's out there when it comes to your information that you're putting in your head. High quality, but definitely from a multitude of practices. Just what I'm saying. You're like a liberal back when they were more reasonable before they became leftists, the superstar podcaster told Maher. Maher agreed with Rogan. Oh yes, I am great. Thank you for reaffirming my fucking fragile ego. But Bill Maher, if you've heard the stories of him behind the scenes, he is an absolute sped, but that's neither here nor there. Saying he's always trying to make the case that liberal is different animal than woke. No, you birthed that shit, okay? It's your bastard kid. Now, you gotta go ahead and pick up after him. Or I guess her, Jimger, at this point in time. The political commentator took issue with those that sees at the far left calling themselves liberals. I think it's a good description, okay? Making liberals a poisonous term. That's fair. I like that. You can be woke with all the nonsense that now implies, but don't say that somehow that's an extension of liberalism, because it's most often actually an undoing of liberalism. Yeah, you go ahead and fight against the speech police. See how well that works out for you. You can have your points of view and your positions on these things, but don't try to piggyback on what I always believed is liberals do, for example, in a colorblind society. Hey, you might be right when it comes to this whole race and wokeism thing, but you know who else is right about this stuff? And I diametrically disagree with them on a multitude of other areas. Ron DeSantis. Actually, it's a pretty apt comparison right now between Ron DeSantis and Bill Maher. Both are traitors to the cause. Oh, that the goal is not to see race at all anywhere for any reason. Maher is a regular critic of the modern progressive movement. Yeah, but not when you guys were up. It's kind of weird. Front runner right here. Often agreeing with conservatives who believe that the nation's obsession with political correctness has gone too far. During his conversations with Rogan, Maher also said President Joe Biden might be mentally compromised. Oh wow, he's really taking a stance there. There might be a problem with Joe Biden's mental health. Say it isn't so. Thank you for telling us, Bill. We wouldn't have realized that without you pointing it out. You're so smart. Oh my God, where would we be without your loquacious and effusive input? Thank God for Bill Maher, folks. Tell us more about how religion is the epicenter of evil for the world. Remember, this is the same asshole who said that a Christian orthodoxy society is just undermining American life. This is the same asshole who did religiosity or religiousness. Yeah, he did one of those fucking hack movies. I remember stalking back when I used to work in a movie store. Anyways, and dealing with his son Hunter's look shady, bitch. You're probably one of those same dumb motherfuckers. If we go ahead and pull the quotes, you were probably saying, oh, it's Russian disinformation. He seemed to have Adam Schiff on a whole hell of a lot when Trump was in office, okay? I don't forget. However, Maher disagreed with Rogan that Biden is as corrupt as former President Donald Trump. There it is. I don't trust anybody. This is why I say, man, okay, never do business with a leftist. He can go ahead and call himself, I'm just a classic liberal. Nah, bitch. You get a couple of fucking things correct, but at a base level, you're fucking wrong with everything. I would rather, and I do hesitate to say this, deal with tradcons, because at least we would we would agree on a whole host of things. We would just disagree on some of the more fundamental principles. But at least we could probably come to an understanding on certain areas. Meanwhile, you'd have to flip reverse that for dealing with anybody that's on the left, because you're just absolutely absurd if you think that Donald Trump, who he called a criminal, is crazy and stupid. We're living in a world where where perfect is not on the menu. Yeah, of course. You realize that there's somebody that can go in there and bust things up and actually has an audience, actually is likable, and people want to vote for the guy. Oh, it's an imperfect choice that we have right here. No, you have somebody who can barely get up out of bed in the morning, up across from a guy who loves the nation and is getting unfairly prosecuted. If there was even a scintilla of a grain of the type of corruption that we've seen care of Hunter Biden's laptop, or from the sworn testimony of former business partners of the Biden crime family, you think that they would have pulled that out of the Trump organization at any point in time? No, they can't fucking find it, because guess what? It doesn't exist. Oh, Trump, he let some companies go bankrupt. You have no idea how fucking business works if you think that that's that big own that's on top of him. The motherfucker is worth multiple billions of dollars. You, at 67 years old, because you have nothing to show for your life, still have to go on and drag up failed podcasters to put on your fucking talk show panel. And the only time that you get applause from the audience is when you flip on the fucking sign, so just stop it. Maher's comments come after he clashed with Dr. Phil when the TV psychologist refused to concede that Trump was worse than President Joe Biden. Well, he's not. It's like, you run the tail of the tape. Joe Biden and his family are 1,000 times worse than Trump and his family. One of them is much more of a threat to the Republic. That would be the 45th. Would you not agree? Maher asked. Come on, a threat to the Republic. Joe Biden? No. Last month, Maher condemned the blockbuster film Barbie for perpetuating a zombie lie that men wield more power and influence than women. And see, yeah, we agree on certain issues. That just also goes to show you just how deep the understanding that Greta Gerwig is a total fucking hack for writing that dog shit. It's like nobody buys your stuff, but it's the best, it's the highest grossing movie of 2023. We could just continue to go on for days and days, but hey guys, Bill Maher's really based. You should pay attention to what he's saying. No thanks. I'm good. As for Joe Rogan, at least he pushed back a little bit. He's starting to come around, but it's also election season. He's going to start talking to more politicians and more learned individuals on the topic. So yeah, he's got to go ahead and mediate his positions. Let's see what you're doing, Joe. I've been around the block for a little while. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.